What is up, guys? I'm here today, and today I have for you a video where we're going to be going over Black Tower Skybreak Spire Raid Boss 1. I'm going to go ahead and cover all the mechanics, everything you need to know, and we're going to try and do it under 5 minutes, but no promises. Anyway, guys, so first things first, this boss has 3 roles. You have tank, DPS, and buff transport. I will be partaking in buff transport for this video. So what you're going to see right now is the first phase of the buff transport. The tank's job is to keep the boss oriented as you see right now. DPS job is to hug the back left leg of the boss. Why do you want to hug the back left leg of the boss? Because the buff transporter's job is to grab that mite that you saw like 2 seconds ago and bring it to the back left leg of the boss. So this is the first add phase of the boss. This occurs at 90, 60, and 30%. At 90, 60, and 30%, adds are going to spawn at 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock on the clock around the boss here. What you got to do is hit them with a joint CC. So right here you see the buff transporter picking up the buff and bringing it to the back left leg. I know I have characters hidden, so I apologize, but the entire party is standing on the back left leg of the boss. So as you can see below the 100% marker, and I'll put a little pop-up on the screen right now, you get a buff. So if you have a red buff, you stay inside of the red circle that you see on the ground right now. If you have a blue buff, you step outside of the circle. If you do have a blue buff, your blue buff is going to decay into a poison stack after 15 seconds. If you have a red buff, your red buff will decay into a poison stack, will decay into a blue buff. I apologize. So the buff transporter's job is to bring a buff every 30 seconds. So as you see right now, at 30 seconds is elapsed, the buff transporter is grabbing another buff and bringing it to the back left leg. You can actually see the blue bars of everybody moving to the back left leg there to make sure they all get the buff. And as you see, when the buff comes in, everybody's health gets restored. So the buff, when it's delivered, removes all of your poison stacks. So this is a flower phase. If you have a red buff during a flower phase, which once again appears below the 100% meter, your job is to go ahead and touch one of those flowers. As you saw right there, I touched a flower, and the flower should have turned red, but I must have missed it by half a second. So anyway, when you have a red buff and you touch the flower flower is going to turn into a red flower. When the flower turns red, it does damage to the boss. When they're green, they heal the boss. So that's why you want to get as many people with red buffs to heal, to turn the green flowers into red flowers. So that is the flower phase. That occurs 3 times throughout the boss fight, depending on how much your DPS is on your party. So we're back to a DPS phase here where everybody's just hugging the left leg. It's super simple. The next add phase is at 60%, which is at any second now. So you're going to notice that right now the boss is going to make an animation where he gets angry and does that white cloud. What that means is that an add phase is coming and he's going to jump to the middle. When he jumps to the middle, make sure you iframe it. Right there you saw I used my E on my gunner to make sure I got out of that. It will do a lot of damage to you and it will probably kill you. So once again, at the add phase, make sure everybody goes to their adds, stuns the add, or CCs it. It has to be a joint CC, a 2 times joint CC to go ahead and get the boss. Once again, the buff transporter will pick up the buff after 30 seconds and bring it to the back left leg. So that is the entirety of this fight, guys. That's all it is. Super simple. It's just rotating buffs, making sure you have the right buff, and make sure you're standing in the right place to receive the buff. As far as animations of the boss, we're going to go ahead and show them right now and discuss them when they pop up. So once again, you're going to notice the white cloud animation. This means the boss is jumping, like I've said before. Always iframe the jump or step out of the range of the jump. It's right underneath them, so as long as you're away from it, you'll be okay. Super simple on that dodge. Well, right here, when the boss is in this orientation, when the boss is at 3 o'clock, the buff gets dropped to the back right leg instead of the back left leg, just because it's easier for the buff transporter to bring it to that location. What you're going to see now is another flower phase, which happens around 50%. So if you do have a red buff, this is when you would go ahead and touch a flower. As you can see, I have a blue buff, so I'm not going for a flower, but I am standing outside of the circle to maximize my DPS. During the flower phase, as a tank, you're going to be hit by the spitballs, as you can see right here, so make sure you have your blocks and iframes around. So once again, you guys saw the white cloud, which means he's jumping. Super simple to identify that animation. This next animation that you see right here is the animation for a vertical jump. This jump can be iframed, it can also be blocked, as you saw right there, or countered, or any type of block, resist, or skill will deal with that jump. Typically, the boss rotates between that jump animation and a tail swipe animation that you're going to see right now. So that's the head lunge that he does on the tank that has to deal with, but this is the tail swipe animation. So when you see him rear his butt and start looking like he's going to swing his tail, you need to use a knockdown on the boss. That knockdown will cancel the tail swipe animation, and then you won't have to worry about that for killing your party or hitting your buff transporter or any of that good stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fast forward to the double time phase, which is the final phase of this boss, since basically it's just rotating DPS and buff transports up until double time, which starts at 20%. Alright, so we are now in double time, and I just want to make sure I make this clear before I start talking this. If you are a DPSer, not the buff transport, do not touch the egg that you see me attacking in this video. Your job is just to hug the back left leg of this boss at all times. Let me just stress that once again. Anyway, so during double time phase, what's going to happen is at 20%, the boss is going to continue to spawn flowers until he either dies or reaches his enrage timer. The flowers, like I said before, if they're green, will continue to heal him. If they keep healing him, you're not going to kill him, and it sucks because you just watch that enrage timer at the top continue to drop until you eventually reach the enrage. So what's going to happen here is that your buff transporter is going to bring a buff alternating legs, left, right, every 15 seconds instead of every 30 seconds. Why are they doing this? Because you need to maximize the number of red flowers your party gets. So like I said before, if you get a red flower and you touch a red buff and you touch a green flower, the flower will turn red. You also lose your red buff. So people without red buff need to get a new buff, which is why you're doing this every 15 seconds. If you got a blue buff and so you couldn't go and get a flower, your buff decays in 15 seconds. So that's once again why you're going every 15 seconds. As you can see, the more red buffs you get out, the more damage you go ahead and do to the boss, and it eventually makes it a very easy clear. So once again, just to reiterate, the buff will come every 15 seconds. If you have a red buff, go get a flower, and then return to the opposite leg. If you have a blue buff, just move to the opposite leg so you can receive the next buff that will be coming in 15 seconds. Super simple this phase, just make sure you get flowers and make sure you keep track of what buff you have. Now if you had a red buff and didn't get a flower, make sure that you do not go to the alternate leg, otherwise you will get the double buff and you will die. Anyway guys, I hope you found this video useful. I think I'm a little bit over 5 minutes, but not too bad. So if this video did help you, make sure you check out some of the other stuff on the channel. I got a lot of great content. I'll be putting out more BT videos like this. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.